Okay, so now I'm in Maya, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to import some of the stuff that I've done in ZBrush and prepare myself a low-res model so that later I can normal map it right in here inside of Maya. Alright, so what I'm going to do is this object, I no longer need it, so I'm going to hide it, and I'm going to import some stuff in. Now, in ZBrush, I created my sculpt, and in ZBrush you can access the different subdivision layers of the sculpt. So you can go all the way down to subdivision level 1, all the way up to 8, or however high your subdivision levels go. My highest subdivision level is about an 8, which is millions and millions of polygons. I don't want to import that right now into Maya because it's going to slow down Maya a lot. It's a really big, heavy, dense model. What I want to do is I want to import the low res from ZBrush. So the lowest subdivision level from ZBrush looks like this. Okay? When we sculpt in ZBrush, our low-res model changes. It changes shape from what we originally started with. Okay? So this is what the new low-res looks like outside of ZBrush, or from ZBrush into Maya. Okay? What I also like to do is to import a medium-res version of the sculpt from ZBrush. Alright? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import that. Just drag and drop in here. And this is what my medium res looks like. It's just over 50,000 triangles. It's not too heavy. As you can see, I could still move around my Maya viewport perfectly fine without any problems. This is why I wanted to bring in this version, because if I had brought in high res, then my viewport here just wouldn't be usable for working. So the medium res lets me work, and lets me work with a version of the sculpt that's as close as I'm going to get to the high res without sapping my viewport performance here. Okay, so what I need to do is take this medium res, which currently is the highest res version of this inside of Maya, and I need to use this to create a good low res model. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to apply a new material to this, and a blend will work just fine. And I'm going to increase the transparency of this blend pretty high up. Okay, something like that will work out good so we can see through it. So as I look at it from the side, okay, here's the medium res, or the high res, the one that we need to fit to, and this is the low res. The low res right now does not fit with the medium res. So if we were to normal map this low res object right now, it wouldn't normal map very well. This is a key thing about normal mapping that is extremely important. Okay, when you normal map, you have to make sure that your low res model matches up. Your game model has to match up with the high res as closely as possible. Not in terms of the triangle count, but in terms of the overall shape, the overall geometry. Okay, right now this medium res object sticks out to about this area right here, and you can see the low res falls very short, okay, of that, and that'll be a big problem when it comes to normal mapping. Technically, I could still normal map this, but the normal map is going to come out with artifacts. It's going to come out ugly. It's not going to look right. I'm going to have serious problems. It's not going to be AAA quality, basically put. Okay, so what I need to do is take this low res and add a little bit more geometry to it and make it fit to the high res a little bit better. So we're going to use a few retopologizing techniques here you could use in Maya to get this done in this kind of a situation. All right, so it's pretty simple. I'm going to take the medium res object and I'm going to come up here and make it live. Okay, and it's going to turn green. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the low res and I'm going to work with the low res. And basically when the object is live, let me show you what happens. Let me go to Vertex Mode. I just want to show you a really good example of this. I'm not going to be able to at the moment. Let me add more geometry, then I could show you what I'm talking about. Let me go to this object here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Edit Mesh menu. Let me go to Insert Edge Loop tool. I'm going to insert an edge loop about the middle right there of that object. Yeah, that looks pretty decent. With this edge loop selected, select this whole edge loop that we made in the middle, and hold down Control. We'll go to Vertices. I'm going to move these vertices. Let me go to my Move Tool options. Let me reset the tool real quick. And right now, I'm going to show you what happens. If I try to move the vertices in the world axis, it's not going to work well. I'm going to move to normal. And I'm going to move it on the normals, something like this. And you can see how automatically it kind of inflates on itself, which is good because it'll follow the geometry a lot better. And I'm going to go to Edge Mode. I'm going to select all these edges, and then I'm going to bevel these to get something like this. And right now, the geometry isn't following the high res very well. The other thing I want to do is go to the Insert Edge Loop tool and insert an edge loop about the middle right there, like that. Alright, let me go to Vertex Mode. If I select this stuff and start moving it around, let me switch back to World Mode here. You're going to be able to get this to stick to the surface. See that? So if I go to these individual vertices, I can get them to stick to the surface, and now the geometry of the low res is following the high res the way it's supposed to. Okay? So, but we need to do that for the rest of the object. Now, I don't care about the rest of the object out here. That's not important. What's important is this detailed area. So basically, the inside of the wall damage area right here. So a quick way to do this is by switching on to tweak mode over here in the move tool options. And by doing that, all you need to do is come over here, just grab and tweak. Just grab, pull this stuff around. In case you're not familiar with the tweak tool, it's very good for doing some freeform editing here. So essentially what you want to do is come in here and adjust these vertices around and try to get them to fit. Alright, so it's pretty simple. I think you get the idea. Go ahead and do this for the rest of the model. And I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead in the video. Before I do that, though, I want to show you something. There's going to be some areas where you just won't be able to get your low res to follow the high res, simply because there isn't enough geometry. And when you get to one of those situations, you're going to have to add more geometry manually. And that's actually okay. Game engines nowadays can take quite a large amount of triangles, so we don't have to worry too much about our triangle count. So for example, right here I have this kind of bulging area right there. So what I can do is I can come over here, grab this thing, use the split polygon tool, and I could come in here and just add some extra geometry. Nice and easy, something like that. And there we go. And now, of course, I'll use the tweak tool here to go ahead and tweak this. So right now we can see that we can get this geometry now to follow the flow of the high res a little bit better. Looks like I created an extra vertex right there, so let me take it and delete it. And I'm going to take this, fix this little piece of geometry right there. Okay, so the idea is to go in there, fix the geometry, get it to follow the high res as closely as possible. It's going to take a little while to do this, but go ahead and get it done. I'm going to fast forward, and when I'm finished, I'll meet up with you. Okay, so off camera, I went ahead, I wrapped this up. You can see how the low res follows the high res pretty closely. Okay, it doesn't have to be exact, but as long as it follows it pretty close, and you can see it follows it pretty close, you get yourself a pretty good result. Alright? Alright, I also went ahead and optimized, so I took some edge loops and things and collapsed them to optimize the mesh a little bit more and reduce the triangle count. So right now this object has a little under 1,000 triangles, which is pretty good. If you can get it under 1,000 triangles, then good job. So that's going to do it. So there's our low-res object. We're finished with that. The next step is to prepare our scene and bring in the high-res from ZBrush and normal map.